ACT,
Yeah.
I'm about to start.
Okay. About this right now.
Hey, do you? Do what you gotta do, okay? You just have to be prepared to suffer the consequences of whatever those actions are.
Yeah.
You know?
I was so surprised at how he was looking at me. I was talking to him. I was like, do you need to say something? Do you need help? Like, use real words. And he didn't. And then so Melanie started rubbing his head. And I was like, do you have hand sanitizer? And she was like, I don't. And I'm like, oh my God, what are we doing? And then
I think she's about to sneak me. So she calls my dad, and my dad comes in. He got his big cowboy hat on and everything. And I know he don't know how to read, so I ain't worried about him at all. So he sits next to me.
now that we know it wasn't about us.
Use the hammer if he was using his gauntlet for evil. This just doesn't make you pure and worthy enough.
That's your phone, though. This one is always the odd one. When we don't have the intro and we just have to get into it.
Yes, I know, right? When we just start, right? Yeah. Just start. All right, no,
guys, like what?
No, because this is how it works. All right, so I mean, Johnny? Are you kicking us off? Then you can do the hi guys.
Kicking us off.
I think Cam will just pick any of these moments and be like, "Yeah, I've kicked you off," and now we don't even, guys. As you may not know, which we may not know when the show actually started, because we are pre-recording this show. And due to good reason, because for one, we do need some time off. And for two, it is Memorial Day. So we are going to be taking the time.
It was Johnny's anniversary. Johnny and Terry's anniversary.
I hadn't gotten there.
Happy anniversary, Johnny and Terry.
Years, baby.
Actually 19 years.
19.
Whoa, you've been married for 19 years. Terry, hold up. Terry's been dealing with you for over 19 years.
You got it.
Get that man his P's and Q's. Congratulations, Joe. Happy anniversary.
He's a present.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you listen, the love is the present, right? Is that not what we say? Hold up, I'm gonna try to do the angel thing. I suck at it because it'd be like horns automatic.
Horns just want to pop out as opposed to
angel.
Hold on, is that what we're all supposed to do?
Right now? Why does it keep popping up? See,
that means you're being really sweet and kind.
It okay, well, you know, and this is a day to be sweet and kind and to memorialize those things that are important to us and those people who have done, you know, the ultimate for us as well. I'm not gonna go too crazy into that because, you know, I am somebody who wants to not offend anybody in any particular way because this is a sensitive day for some people. Now, for me, today's conversation is a sensitive one for me, and I think we're ready for this. I think CT, Johnny, and our special guests are really prepped for this conversation. I didn't even realize how much CT was going to bring to today's show, but I'm looking forward to this conversation because we're going to be talking about invisible barriers. Today's conversation will be about invisible barriers. There are many different types of invisible barriers. There's the contextual invisible barriers where we think about glass ceilings. There's the mental health, invisible barriers, the ones that we place on ourselves. There's the social invisible barriers that, you know, that we have to be aware of. There's the discriminatory invisible barriers that are there that lay in the lands. There are actual physical mapped invisible barriers that that we are aware of as well. Yes, sir. CT.
I was noting it, just like it hit me as you were talking about all the invisible barriers.
I
was thinking to myself that the one invisible barrier that is consistent on this show every time we show up is the guy behind the scenes. He's the invisible barrier that like cuts you off.
Like that, just like that.
Yeah. So, and you never know when you run into him. You know what I'm saying? Like, see, that's how you know that you just ran into an invisible barrier because you became invisible, right?
Now the show can start. It reminds me of what was it? Was it Boomerang? when he went to the when he's knocking on the screen, he's like, "What time does the show start?" And I guess our show has already started, and the topic has already been picked up because I was invisible for a moment. And thank you, Cam. I appreciate the illustration. So now everybody knows what it feels like to be me, as a victim of the barrier that is this show.
Don't try to play the victim.
I'm so sorry, CT.
Don't try to even play the victim.
I am so sorry. I cannot express how hard that must be.
Thank you.
To put yourself in a position that you have to deal with these invisible. You have to face these boxes that are surrounding you. Now, they could be one of the types of invisible barriers that I did describe, and it could be an emotional one too. You could be putting yourself in a cage or a box emotionally, and therefore create problems in said box that may rattle you, and therefore in your screen cam sometimes may also make you invisible because you have rattled your cage.
Right. That's what I was going to say. Like sometimes, which I'm sure we'll get into in this conversation, it's not about invisible barriers. It's about the person bringing the shenanigans upon themselves.
Well, I think the word shenanigans hasn't come up in our show in the last couple of weeks. It's been a little while, but the illustration in my mind is Ron Burgundy in the movie Anchorman when he's in the phone booth and he's agonizing in the phone booth. Can you picture it? I can picture it.
Of course. That's my favorite movie.
That's what I feel like sometimes.
In the glass cage of emotion.
The glass cage of emotion.
Ron, where are you? I'm in a glass case of emotion.
Yes.
Thank you, E. Thank you for giving it a name. Yes. E, AOC, Eric, Scotch with E. Thank you for giving it a name. I appreciate you so deeply. I think this is going to be one of our more in-depth conversations. That's what I feel like right now.
You better act right then. You gotta have to act right.
I don't think we have any other options but to just roll with the punches today. One of the punches that we're going to take is this gut shot to the fact that invisible barriers do exist and we deal with them on a day-to-day. Now, in order for this conversation to have some balance, I would like to make sure that we add an additional voice to the conversation. Now, this is someone that I talked to about a bunch of different things. We have swam all in the same circles. We all have had the opportunity to meet Mr. Michael Adams, who is our special guest. Now, he is not only a motivator, he is someone who identifies talent and is a very talented individual in himself. Not only a lucky husband that we found out that CT likes to throw out, he's also a great mentor and friend to those people that are lucky enough to know him. Cam, can you bring on our special guest, Michael Adams?
The invisible barrier himself, Michael Adams.
Oh boy, that's how we're rolling. Okay, tone setter, pace setter, good stuff.
Let's get it. Let's get it.
Here. Don't have you. Yeah. Don't let CT knock down the hustle, sir. We are very excited to have you here. Thank you so much for taking the time to do this recording with us. As we know, anybody that takes time to have a conversation with us about anything is appreciated because you add to the platform. The podcast grows because of those people who add to it. So, Michael, I want to make sure that we get a little bit of time with you, and we're going to do what we always do. We have some rapid fire questions that we like to throw out there. And now today, I think we're going to start off our rapid fire questions. I'm going to skip CT. I'm going to go to Johnny first for rapid fire questions. And Johnny, I'll give it to you.
All right. Well, since I'm the first one to go, I'll keep it really simple for you. I won't go too deep on these. All right. Well, maybe I will. First question. What's one habit that has changed your life?
One habit. So my wife will, we ebb and flow with this habit, and I will call it more of a lifestyle. I am ex-military, and while I had a bit of what I might personally self-diagnose as OCD, the military will bring that out of you even if it doesn't exist.
Okay.
Things have a place. They must be in order. There's certain, not just places, but there's a reason for those things. And so disarray is something that, it drives me a little bit crazy. And as I have evolved as a married man over the past 7 years,
Okay.
I have learned great patience with that particular pet peeve, if you will, of mine.
Got it.
Yes.
Got it.
I love
You
the fact
notice
that
how
OCD.
Yeah.
I love how OCD became downgraded to pet peeve. That's beautiful.
Yes.
He chose his words really well there.
Oh,
That's
very
nice.
carefully. That's what I was
Very
going
good,
to say. He
very
was
good.
very careful.
Very
That's why I was
good.
like, okay, all right.
love
I
it.
see
I
how we're
love it.
doing this. We're being very careful here.
I love it.
How do you recharge when you're drained?
I don't know that there's a better regeneration in human flesh. Let's say, like, I re-energize through prayer. I'm a believer, and I believe that when you tap into the ultimate source, there's a replenishment that you just can't get from a fleshly level, right? So I straddle that. Now, when I think about the flesh, because we are in the world,
Right.
not of the world, right? When I think about what's in the world, there was a point in my life, everyone, where I didn't know that I would have a wife. I became a man of a certain age. I didn't know if I would have the family that I had always envisioned. And when I realized those things, they are the energy. When I come home from a day, it's changed my perspective. And I'll share a quick story. When I was asked about how was your day, right? I always reverted to a work thing. It was terrible, XXX. I might not even give the details, right? I would just say, man, it was a bad day because of A, B, C, D in my head or otherwise. That narrative changed because I have a great life. I'm healthy. I have walls and shelter and food, and I have love and care in my world. And so it changed my answer every single day of my life since that time, which was, so coming back full circle, my children, my wife, my family is my regeneration. When I come home from a day that's just garbage, when you think about work, it goes away. It's a magic elixir. If it's a drug you could bottle and sell,
Yeah.
we would all be retired on our own islands together, because I would share that wealth with this team. So that's it.
Oh, so good. So good. Okay. Gosh, these are so good. I'm just gonna ask one more then, and then I'll pass it over. What's a book, show, or song that has stuck with you other than the Bible? Since you say you're a believer, I'm gonna say other than the Bible. Book, show, or song that has stuck with you.
Wow, I think book, show, song. I'm a music person. I always begrudge, not regret, but begrudge that I didn't stick with. Music was forced upon me.
Okay.
I had to play two instruments, trombone and piano, just because that's the next logical question to be asked. I was terrible at both. I didn't like both. I did not really practice. I was a sports guy, and my parents, to diversify me, forced me to play two instruments until it interfered with sports in such a way that I had to make a decision. There was no decision to be made in 7th grade. I was done with music. So
That's it. Yeah.
I'm going to go with music. Short answer long, if you will. I'm going to go with the long. Music is definitely where I'm going to land. I DJ weddings and parties and things. Now that's evolved from what original DJing in high school and college, which was very, very different. Different hours, different music, different atmosphere. Nevertheless, music is in me. I go to live shows a lot. So I'm going to land here. There's a music by Government Mule called Soul Shine. And Soul Shine talks about there's no greater shine. It's better than sunshine. It's better than moonshine. It's damn sure better than rain. That's an extraction of the lyrics. And so anyway, Government Mule it will give you a little bit of taste of the music I enjoy. I love all genres. But that gets you to really where the heart of me is. And so it's music. It's music, no question.
Oh, I love that. I had to put it in my notes. I was trying to hurry up and type it while you were talking so I wouldn't forget. Thank you for sharing it. All right, E, I'm gonna pass it to you.
Or anything Michael Franti also works.
Okay. Is that Michael Franti?
I think he pronounces it Franti, but I'm
Franti.
slow, so.
Okay, I'm at to tap into some Franti.
Franti or Fronte. It sounds like a
Fronte.
wine.
Yeah, it's, hey, look, any way it goes, apparently it's sweet. We're gonna check it out.
May I ask a follow-up question to the answer he just gave?
Mhm.
Michael, bluegrass or rap? Bluegrass or rap?
So my musical evolution is rooted in old school rap. Rap was born the same year I was, and that is not a coincidence. In 1973, so old school rap is my how do I want to say my delineation, right? Current rap, I'm okay with. That's an easy choice. It's bluegrass. Bluegrass came later in life because I don't know why. Because I love it. I do love instruments. I just stink at playing them and all those things. And bluegrass is the precipice is instruments. It's fast instruments. It's strings. It's violins, fiddles. It's banjo. Like it's fast moving strings, and that's a great noise. However, root is root, and so old school hip hop is the right answer.
Anyone in particular
For me,
that stands out to you? I mean, like,
Next most logical question.
Just rock with. Yeah, I have to know.
So Kool Moe Dee is one of my favorites of all time. When I think about lyricists, though, it's tough to go outside of Rakim, and you pair that with Rakim or with Eric B. Like the combination of those two, it's tough. I don't know if there's anyone better.
How can I move the crowd?
And move the crowd. So,
first of all, ain't no mistakes
love
in that.
it.
That's come on, dog. Let's go.
Love it.
Yes.
Well, CT, since you're already in the vein of asking questions, I'll pass it to you.
Oh, I didn't mean to cut you off. There was a
it's
natural
cool.
question I think that came there. So this or that, Michael. Comfort zone or growth zone?
I had to think about it myself.
Ooh. Growth is tough.
Gosh, it's tough.
It's subconsciously it's comfort zone. When I'm consciously making a decision, it's growth. And I share those two perspectives because I need to be intentional about something that would produce a growth. And I don't have that innately in all things that might require growth in my life. So it's a selection of, yes, I want to intentionally grow and move from a place of comfort. And many times that comes from feedback from people or real life circumstances that someone who I trust in a very inner circle brings to light. And it causes me to think about, is this something where I need to be uncomfortable in this season so that I'm comfortable for it and prepared and equipped for what I believe it will serve me in the future.
I like it. I got a whole bunch of them, but I want to be responsible to our time. It's two questions. This is another this or that. Build your own table or ask for a seat?
Ask for a seat. I feel for me, just to expand slightly, I am challenged creatively. If there's instructions with the build the table, I'll do pretty good with that. If it's here's the pieces or here's some components. So I think about the creative versus the technician in me, the attention to detail, the taking a table, making it better, or again, following a set of guidance. So I think I would, and as a persuader, given multiple personality tests, I feel that I'm more equipped to be able to earn my credibility to the table through my words that are accompanied with action given the opportunity.
Nice. And last one, golf or hockey? Golf or hockey?
Hockey. A million times over. I'm better at it. It causes me much less frustration. Yeah, hockey.
I had to check.
And that smile on CT's face is because he has been with me many times playing golf. And frustration is the G version of how I might otherwise have an emotional reaction within an 18 round of golf.
Okay.
I love the G version.
Me too. I'm gonna
Yep.
always say that.
For
I don't
golf.
say that
Yep.
enough.
Yep. G for golf. Hey, so I want to jump in and ask you: are you an indoors person, outdoors person?
Outdoors.
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 Sure.
Boy Scout, military. I love hiking, hunting. You can have fishing, whoever wants it. It's not for me. But yes, outdoors, in nature. Love it. Hikes, all that.
Best vacation you've been on?
Ooh.
CT's gonna give me grief for this. Honeymoon with my wife, of course.
Okay. Okay.
Truly, we had a simple initial honeymoon just to the island of Put in Bay because our reception was on the coast of Lake Erie. The simplicity of it, the fact that many of my aspirations and dreams for a family were like, I'm believing it now, right? I'm physically married to this woman, and quickly the story of my wife and I, and this I'll be very succinct. We met online. We knew that we were going to be married before we physically met.
Okay.
We met for lunch. 4 hours later, we left lunch. And 9 months later, I proposed. And 14 months later, we were married.
What?
Yeah.
That happened.
Listen.
That happened.
Listen. That's amazing. Let me. Cam, take me off. Take me off.
No, don't take him off, Cam. No.
Keep him there.
Keep him here, Cam.
So
Wait,
truly,
Did you for real
did he
freeze?
freeze him or did E just freeze? Because E never really freezes. So
He never freezes. And this has got to be the
oh my
best
God.
situation
And
possible.
look how great he looks. He looks so great too.
it was a great smile.
I was trying
Thank
to
you.
grab a photo.
It's okay. Yes, I know my screen must have frozen. I must have been in a very nice pose.
It
You
was
look
some
great.
kind of invisible
It was.
barrier that kept
No,
you from us in that moment.
Well, you know what it was? It was all the love Michael was talking about that he had, that like it literally killed my internet connection. It was like, you will never have that kind of connection. Just slow down. No, that's beautiful. I was absolutely blown away. I know we've had this conversation, and I think that it's amazing that the things that we work for, the things that we work at, and the things that we dream of come true because we don't give up on them. So I definitely we're gonna tie into that later. Now, since I know that you were into hip hop, did you rap yourself, Michael, growing up? Because we know everybody who listened to old school rap used to attempt to or play at rapping. Did you rap when you
Remember,
grew
this
up?
is being recorded.
This is so.
This
I'm gonna say yes to that on a couple of fronts. The first is that CT and I recently rapped together at a talent offsite where we did the Rob Bass and DJ Easy Rock. It Takes
Two.
What?
I'm so
It
jelly.
happened. It
What?
happened. It's a true story.
This is true. So most recently, what's that? A year and a half, maybe ago.
A year and a half ago. Yeah.
That's so dope.
Was my last. I unretired
The last
from
time
like
you was on
1991.
stage.
So I was on ice for a while.
Yeah.
But a great friend of mine, Kirk Brokamp, and I, we were in. We had hammer pants in our single survival class. I made hammer pants. I had about 4 pair of hammer pants. We performed. Some of it was lip sync with singing, and then we would rap lyrics. So we had like a mix or a lip sync, since Milli Vanilli was rocking at the time. We had some fun with it where we would fake lyrics and come back. And then prior to joining JP Morgan and Chase, I'm not supposed to say that name, am I?
You allowed to say whatever.
Please bleep it. All good.
We'll put in the company.
Random voice.
While I was at another organization of international exposure, they had a talent show, and two colleagues and myself advanced through a American Idol like scenario. There were 3 stages. We made it to the finals and lost, but what we did was very similar. We had the singing was not great, but the lyrics were great, and we customized them to the organization and ultimately the holiday party where we had the grand
I
finale.
love
So
it. I love it.
it's awesome. Like I'm amazed at lyricists and how they string words together and concepts. And when you have someone who truly freestyles, that's probably one of the greatest. If I had a superpower, I'd
Yeah.
want to be able to freestyle.
Ooh,
That's
You
good.
got to
that's
you
a
got to
good
join one
one.
of you got to join one of our ciphers, CT. We can get in with us.
That's a
He
good
does. We're
one.
gonna bring you in.
Yes. All right. So this is my last question. What was your rap name?
Didn't have a rap name.
Okay.
I have a DJ name.
Nah. All
I want
right.
to
I
know
want to
DJ
know.
name.
I want to know the DJ name, but I want to know like when you were young coming up, everybody had like the little rap name in their head. What would you have called yourself if you would have came out as a young rapper?
I say this, and it's unoriginal because it's Beastie Boys, and my middle initial is D. So Mike D
Yeah.
was too easy. There was nothing creative that I'm like hanging my hat on was awesome. It was
Yeah.
blah. But the product, what they received, there it is.
Okay.
That's the value.
So Mike D with double E. Let's go.
Mike
There we
D in the
go.
place
There
to
we
give me
go.
the bass.
There we
Oh
go.
man, I wish we could change the name from Michael Adams to Mike D right now.
Cam can do that. No,
Hashtag
I'm just
Mike
playing. All right. So as we did introduce, we're going to be talking about invisible barriers and how to know when you're running into them. So I want to start off by just acknowledging, like everybody, we can just all know that we've run into some form of invisible barrier in our lives. And I want to kind of come to you guys, and CT, I'll come to you first to say, like, and there's a point in your life that you ran into an invisible barrier, had no idea where it came from, and it became surreal for you to realize that you had to deal with that or work through it or walk away from it. When has that taken place in your life, CT?
Oh, it's real time. Like most
Yeah.
recent, being given an opportunity to start my own business and recognizing that the person who I have been was good enough for where I was, but will not be the thing that can sustain me for
Ooh.
where I'm going. And I didn't realize the invisible barrier was me and the unspoken thing that I had not addressed inside of me that then would be the barrier to keep me from elevating in the season and time that I'm in. In the spirit of my relationship with God, this is a recent revelation, and it was the people who helped you get to where you've been aren't who I'm going to use to help you get to where you're going.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
the unspoken barrier was I was looking for those who were in my circle who had helped build whoever this individual was to be the catalyst for the next. And that's not what's driving that. And so the barrier that I have to cross is that I got to go meet new people. I got to have new conversations, have a different headset about how I bring my voice into any conversation that isn't wrapped in or masked in the corporate Chris that he had to be with all the things that comes with that personality. So this is a recent conversation for me. So I feel very connected to the language, the content, and the discussion around this particular topic. So thank you for asking, but it's real time right now.
Oh, that's a great
Not
answer. So interesting.
and that is very interesting because I mean I definitely agree with you, Johnny. Like it's great because the complexity of this specific example that we're talking about is in the social dynamic, right? Like you are trying to build out something and you are looking to let's just say a pool of connections and people, and you're like, I should be able to build from this pool, but really the reservoir you need to build from is somewhere else.
Yeah.
That water is somewhere else that you need to be filling up with and going to and fostering relationships and irrigating to that so that you can build into it. I love that example. That's dope.
Yeah.
Johnny,
dope.
I got to know about the invisible barriers that are hurting you, Angel.
Me thinking that I'm an angel. That's the invisible barrier.
That's probably that.
Right.
Terrence, the invisible barrier.
That's making me laugh. I'm crazy. Yo, I gotta be honest. I'm still stuck on CT answer. That was so like just really impactful because when I think about invisible barriers, to your point, E, I'm thinking about all of the things that we sort of initially go to, right? Especially, just to be transparent, especially being a Black woman.
Yeah.
Like, when I think about invisible barriers, is how I show up every single day. That's
Yeah.
why I work as hard as I do. That's why I present myself the way that I do in every space. I would say certain space, but every space, whether it's work and in my personal life, wherever, because I know that there are things that are designed to keep me, to hold me back.
Hmm.
Right? There are things that hold me back, and sometimes I don't even understand where like exactly where it's coming from, but I just know that it's out there somewhere.
Yeah.
I know, and I was raised that way to understand that they're out there somewhere. So you have to be aware, and you have to just like be the best that you can possibly be. But going back to CT's point, that the self-awareness, the self part, I think that's something that's really deep that I really don't even have a response to. I'm just really thinking about it, to be honest with you, because that's something different.
Mm. I love
That's
that
something
too.
different. Yeah.
Okay. Well, Johnny, I definitely appreciate you utilizing the invisible barriers that or bringing to light the invisible barriers that you deal with.
Yeah.
Especially calling out that it's a day-to-day basis.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
it comes in the form of gender bias. It can come in the form of discrimination for specific
Absolutely.
things. So I definitely acknowledge the fact that those invisible barriers do exist as well.
Yeah, for sure. Because there's things that, like, I don't know, there's just not egregious events that happen on a day-to-day basis where it's just in my face. But
Yeah.
that's just how I operate.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
probably because it's just ingrained in me. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Michael, I'm coming to you. You knew you. I saved you for last time. We had you on hot seat with all the questions, so we gave you a little time off. So, what about you? Any invisible barriers that you have been dealing with in your life that you like to share?
You know, thought about this even as CT and Johnny were sharing. My thoughts changed.
Mm,
Mm,
It came to more of a psychological one that I've only equated to corporate America until literally a few minutes ago, which is imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
And where I think about a barrier for me that like was profound and recent was fatherhood when my son was born.
Mm.
Um, Again, for a while, I don't know, mind sharing. I was 44 when I met my wife, so I had
mm,
my thoughts about having these blessings of wife and son and ultimately daughter um, coming to life were amazing, and certainly have changed my life like many parents. But I didn't know if I was going to get that right, so maybe it seems a little bit more for me given where my headspace was. The invisible barrier was even more profound because my son was born at week 26
Mhm.
at 1 pound and 12 ounces, and
mm,
he endured 12 weeks of NICU. He went through more in the first probably
jeez.
4 days of his life than I have and I put myself through life. Make no mistake, but he went through more in life in the first week or so
Wow.
than I ever have. And so when I think about where I felt like, am I doing enough? Am I doing the right things? And not just being a father, but now having this child at NICU I felt so helpless.
Yeah.
And even to today, like some of the times the things that come out of my mouth as a father, I wonder like, I know I do good things, but it keeps me I mentioned the word intentional previously. It keeps me very intentional about my actions and the awareness of my actions, and that they are looking at me.
mhm,
They're listening to me. They're watching nonverbals. They don't know that they're reading body language, but they are like they're
mm,
pulling in all this data, and the sole source of that data many times is me in a
mm,
moment or my wife, right? But I think about it for me, and so I'm often asking myself, like, even though many might look from the outside and say, you're a great father, I'd question, yeah, but last night I did. And so I think about it and I'm trying to change my mindset, much like I did for work, like I had mentioned previously, like life is great. It was a bad day at work, but it's not a bad day in life. Like I think
mhm,
about the same things. I may have a bad moment as a father, but don't let that creep into, the stories we may tell ourselves that you're a bad father. But imposter syndrome from like a psychological barrier, something that, I think it pops up.
yeah,
And
yeah,
it amplifies the thing we've been talking about for the last number of weeks. If we go back to the imposter syndrome conversation, we go back to when Sylvia was on. Like when we start thinking about the truth of invisible barrier, to me, it is the story we're telling ourselves that isn't
Okay.
real, isn't true, but we've established that as our place of safety, so that when we're confronted with the thing we don't want to confront, if we tell the right story, it puts up the barrier so we don't actually have to address the thing we need to actually address.
Mhm.
And you know you're a good father, but you know you're not perfect.
Right.
But you have to put up the barrier when it happens and say, well, wait a minute, maybe I'm supposed to be perfect. No, you're not. We were never
Right.
designed to be that. So I
Right.
do think there's something in this conversation which is real. That concept of imposter syndrome really leans more into this idea that sometimes we gaslight ourselves. Shout out to last week's show. We gaslight ourselves and we put that barrier up, but it keeps us from really dealing in a real truth. And oftentimes it's the unspoken thing that we never address that is the barrier that really is not just invisible, but it is a wall we've put up that we think is visible, but nobody else can see it.
Right.
And then it holds us back, right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Just thinking about invisible barriers, and then it holds us back from becoming whatever it is that we're supposed to become because of this story that we're telling ourselves, or maybe creating the relationship that we want to with our kids because we think we have to show up in a certain way, or just whatever. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
holding us back.
Yeah. And Michael, I think the imposter syndrome, and then taking that into your experience with being a father, is a beautiful barrier to understand, right? Because it's like, look, man, like I didn't think X was ever going to happen. And now I'm in seat Y. I don't understand Z. Like I am trying to figure this forward, but I don't. I'm still struggling with the title of father. I'm still trying to be this thing that I never thought of, and there's all of these expectations and all of these things that are gonna come with it that become the weight. It becomes the thing that will either restrain you or release you into certain things. So I think that's I didn't think about it that way. I think that's pretty dope.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I might add one thing: the wisdom of children. And this has happened numerous times. I will holler at my kids to whatever, lean over their plate because I'm cleaning that floor for the 10th time today, right? Like,
Yeah.
lean over that plate, and I might holler at my son, and my daughter will say, "Daddy, I love you." Like immediately
Oh gosh.
after I'm upset,
Oh
and
gosh.
she immediately, and that's the check for me. Like, all right, something's right here.
Yeah.
And I'm allowed
Yeah.
to have a moment, but it's awesome that my kids and the wisdom, the innate wisdom of a child to say, yeah, but you're an awesome dad. Yeah, but I love you. Yeah, but, and I've even my son, like if I'm yelling at him and he might come back immediately and say it. And it's like, it melts me because I'm like, man, it's
Yeah.
convicting, but it
Yeah.
pulls me out of that piece that says, you're not good at this.
Yeah. That's lovely. I don't know. Like you guys have described invisible barriers in such a way that I don't think I can expound on my own personal invisible barriers, because they've come in the form of many things throughout my life. They've been discriminatory. They have been based on social standings. It has been based off of perceptions. Like there's been a lot of different invisible walls that I've run into. However, I've also run into some literal physical invisible barriers as well, like just glass. Like I've done that before because it was so clean. I didn't know it was there. You know what I'm saying? So it was invisible to me, yet it was a barrier. So I just wanted to make sure that we all know that if you run into some glass, you have run into invisible barrier yourself. Just wanted to level set for everybody.
So let me ask you a question.
Go for it.
Ask you a question since we in the space. Now, I'm gonna pivot not from the physical one because that's a whole nother way. But I'm curious. I'm curious. One of the things that's come up in all of our seasons that we've been together is your relationship status. In and out of relationships, wanting them, not wanting them. What's the invisible barrier for you with regard to relationships?
That's a great question.
CT, you better. CT, you.
I told you I'm proximate to this topic.
He said it's on. In our private message to everyone who's watching, he said it's on right as we began to record, and he meant it.
Yeah.
You came out the gate, bruh. Like, what's up?
Yeah, I'm seeing how this is one of the last episodes we're doing this season. I see that I'm gonna have to. So, ladies and gentlemen, the answer that I'm giving you will be edited later. Okay, I'm just playing. This is pre-recorded. It will be bleeped out. It'll be like bleep, 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 bleep,
Like,
bleep,
we
bleep.
didn't hear anything. He
And
had
I'm
to
gonna be
say.
crying and all of this stuff with tears. It'll be like then cut. No, so nah. I would say that we are in a, or I am in a different place than I have been. And when it comes to the barriers that I feel that I experience, and again, I'm gonna be very specific to me in dating and relationships, is that I can clearly communicate, I can clearly articulate. I don't always have the best niceties in things. I am not the softest of people. The things that I say are pretty straightforward and flat on to what they are. And I don't add the sugar and honey and the iced tea to the things. If it's punch, you getting punched. If it's orange juice, you getting OJ. Okay. Like it's really, I'm typically, it is what it is type person. And I know that it does take a certain type of an individual to be able to deal with that, as well as to be able to foster the softness in me as well. Because I know I shared a video with you guys where we talk about all of the different places within a person where, I have an emotional space, a mental space, a physical space, and I have a heart space, right? Mm-hmm. And my heart space is not one that is just open. It's not like I love hard, and I love deep. And like, if I love you and you in my circle, like I will go to war for you. So it's not something that I open up lightly. Right. And then when we think about relationships, my invisible barrier would be the thing that blocks my heart, that does not allow for it to just open willingly and easily. But it does have its windows and doors, and I know how to open and operate it myself, especially when I see the indicators that let me know I can be safe in the space. However, I don't feel that I've been in a safe space to be able to, let someone that far in to where I could be that very romantic, emotional. Like I'm not doing the flowers and the candies and stuff for every single woman that I've talked to, because every single woman I talk to is not a flower and candy girl that should get it. Maybe you're a coffee girl. Okay. Yeah. Maybe you're a conversation girl. Okay. Yeah. Maybe I meet you, we find out that we don't like each other, and then we never talk again, girl. Everybody's not going to get the depth of me, but the wife is going to get the depth of me, because that's who I'm going to open up to, because she's going to create that safe space for me to be able to do it.
And it feels like that it's what you just described, at least what I heard, was that it's not invisible for you. It may be invisible to somebody else, but what you shared, I'm putting it out there. I'm letting you know, here's what you're going to get. Here's what you're going to see. This is not invisible. And so sometimes maybe it's not even so much that the invisible barrier is within us, is that we've laid it out. So maybe this is the physical barrier you're saying, like, no, I'm telling you, this is what it is. This is what it is. This is where we're going. And if you ran into it, that's your fault. That's not on me. That's on you. And yet there is this question, I think, that comes up when we mess with you during the show. It's like, why ain't you, what you hiding? Like, what you got to hide? But what I heard you say is that you have nothing that you're hiding. And I think, Michael, it goes back to something you said about the babies. It's not weakness, it's wisdom, right? And how do you find the wisdom of how you're going to show up so that somebody knows what they're getting, so that you don't end up running into something that you're not supposed to?
Listen, I just want to say that I have done enough research in this space, especially within this invisible barrier we're talking about, to have tried my best to make sure people avoid running into the walls that is me. And they sometimes just splam. You're like I'm doing everything that I can to help you not run into the walls that are me. But I am literally telling you where this thing is. That's a moat. Okay. Over there. If you make it over there, that's a moat. Please do not go over there. Why are you over there playing in the moat?
Well, I got a question. Okay, so
Yeah.
when the real thing comes along, are you going to be able to receive it? Are you going to be able to recognize it? Because going back to what both Michael and CT have said, the stories that we tell ourselves, right? So I tell myself I am a Black woman and I show up in certain spaces, so I have to be better, smarter, faster, the whole thing, right? Which in some part is true, maybe sometimes is not, but I've presented myself in this way. So am I going to be able to recognize when, like, yo, you can put your wall down and chill out? So to your point, E, like, if you're showing up with that, are you going to be able to recognize it and see it and acknowledge it when the real thing comes along? And it's really not just towards you, but really to all of us when we think about it. When those things show up, are we going to be able to recognize it?
Well, I mean, I can only answer for me.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm 100% open to the possibilities, and I don't carry anything that I've experienced in my previous experiences into that experience because it's a new experience every time.
Yeah.
So, with that being the basis of it, then yeah, I'm learning you, you're learning me.
Yeah.
As we're learning each other, the possibilities are endless until we learn the things that will end it.
Yeah. Yeah. CT, you talked a lot about self, and we'll come to Michael too. You guys talked about self-awareness a little bit in your own personal experiences. And Michael, you being a father, like, I don't know, how aware are you of it when when it shows up? I guess is what I'm trying to say.
You want to grab Mike or let me jump?
Go ahead.
I think that the concept of self-awareness is super important in this kind of conversation. The trick is once you recognize it, what do you do when you see it?
What do you
It
do?
is like I'm driving down the highway. There is a stop sign. If I stop and follow the rules because I see what's coming up, I limit running into something, creating an accident, or having something wrong happen. And
Mhm.
I think all of us have something in us that tells us this is a sign to go forward, to stop, to turn, to get whatever it might be. And sometimes we ignore that sign. And then we get upset when an accident has happened or when we ran through that stop sign and now we got a ticket or a fine because we didn't realize that the popo was right there waiting to stop us. And it happens in work, it happens in a relationship, it happens in every area of our life. And so to the extent, at least to me, that there are things that I know uh I should not do. But sometimes I like testing the limits. And then when I cross the limit, I'm like, oh, well, I shouldn't have done that. Lesson learned, right? And so
Lesson
now
learned.
I'm more aware because I have some empirical data. I have now a new lived experience in that if I create a new marker for me to say, all right, this is a thing I need to be aware of in me, because most of the time, Johnny, the lessons we learn are for and about us, but oftentimes we project them onto somebody else and then we miss the thing we are actually supposed to learn. So we have to repeat the cycle.
Mhm.
So I think self-awareness is super, super important, but it's oftentimes that we ignore the sign that's in front of us that says go, don't go, stop, don't stop, or we are in a perpetual yellow light, and that is an
Yeah.
always dangerous place to be.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love the
Yeah.
flashing yellow light. That just means it's optional, right?
That just means you got to speed up.
See,
You live on optional, don't you?
That means you got to go
have
faster.
you not met me? I'm just
You just told us about you. You told us I heard yellow light flashing, which is why it flashed in my head.
and it's not a hazard light at all, at all.
And real quick, Michael, I want to ask you something because as CT was speaking, it just made me think about a question I want to ask you a little bit deeper. So, okay, you mentioned fatherhood. And it's along the same lines. So how do you know when it's a story that you are just simply telling yourself? I know you mentioned your daughter. Are there any other factors? Story that's just you're just telling yourself, or you're like, no, I really need to step up my game. Like it's not just a story I'm telling myself, but it's real.
It's real.
Yeah.
Yeah, when it moves me to emotion, I know that it's something that is real. If I'm going to invest in emotion in a thing or a person, I know it's real. To me, maybe it's innate discernment, whatever you might want to call it, but I know that I know because of it will move me to an emotion. When I think about the moments with my children. And I think about it this way, like self-awareness is the catalyst to development in anything. If I don't know it, if I don't recognize that there's a need there and recognize it, that it exists and that it's deficient of expectations of me, whether they're of myself or other people whose opinion I care about that also are sharing. And children and my wife are bringing so much self-awareness to the things that I say and do in the past 7 years of my life that I do not lack for the awareness to actuate that and activate it into a development thing. In those moments, Johnny, it really is that emotional piece is the connection for me, whether it validates it or does the opposite in the way of how I should be acting or feeling in that particular moment.
Yeah.
And so the development piece then for me is a very intentional thing where, and CT knows this a little bit about me, I'll set alarms on my phone that annoy me and annoy people around me at times to remind me of something that I want to be very intentional and thoughtful about.
Oh, okay.
My calendar at work, my phone, I still use a paper calendar to keep things that are important to me and intentional to me in front of me throughout the day.
Okay.
Nice.
I just see
I-
CT's head
When I
nodding.
tell y'all this whole alarm thing, I'm telling you, it's a discipline. Like I'm
Okay.
not that disciplined. And that calendar goes back 20 years. Like
real.
it's
Wow.
one of the initial disciplines Michael learned. If you know anything about Mike is disciplined to his practices.
Beautiful.
And that comes out of some of the military piece, but some of the context for how Mike shows up is that he will not forget a thing. He can't. It's in front of him, like you said.
Wow.
Whether it's an alarm, whether there's something he wrote down on the calendar, and he will go back to it. He'll reread it. He'll revisit it. And he's been one of those people who, if somebody is going through something and he knows about it, he ain't gonna let you. He ain't gonna let you alone. Like
Okay.
he will not allow you to go about that thing alone, and he will find the very best way to show up, whether it is in an email, a text, whether it is showing up, just being present. That's one of the best gifts. Michael is not an invisible barrier. Mike is a visible barrier that shows up. If however you might be feeling at the time, this Joker will show up if you don't want him to, and have a word of encouragement or something that will help lift you up. So shout out to you, bro.
I
For
love
real.
that.
Yes.
I love that.
Beautiful.
And
So
I just
go
want to
ahead.
say just really quick, Ian, I'll pass it over to you. I'm sorry, I didn't want to interrupt you. But I asked that question of Michael because I think, we've talked about like our own personal situations that when it comes to invisible barriers, and then we know there are societal, so from the workplace, education, and your community, all type of things that can show up as invisible barriers. I do think it's important to understand the difference between, like, is it me because I've been operating in this space for so long, or is it truly the situation that I'm in? And so I just wanted to really call that out to anybody who's listening, just to kind of like be able to pay attention to that, and be able to hear it.
Good context.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Johnny, because that's really one of the ways that you deal with invisible barriers. First, you have to do the self-reflection to identify whether it's you creating a barrier. Does that barrier actually exist? If I told, and they've done studies with this with animals and different things where they've created invisible barriers where they put a banana on a ladder and made the monkeys believe that they couldn't get the banana. Like through trained behavior, then switching out new monkeys into that same environment, those monkeys never went above that ladder because they were trained that if you go here, you get something, even though they never experienced it. So psychologically, they created an invisible barrier. So it is something that we do tend to do to ourselves, as well as they do exist when other people have their own psychosis and their own issues that they kind of invoke on you or may try to imply on you through that type of invisible barrier, right? Like when we think of discrimination, we think of biases and different things. These are people that may not have dealt with things that may bother them, that they may be imposing on you. There could be entitlement, all different types of things that can create those. But identifying yourself in that position is the most important part. To know that you are up against glass, right? Instead of just trying to walk through it, like you walk, the trick to it is kind of walking with a little bit of guide in front of you, right? And that's where, you know, we go to God, like, you need a guide to help you through some of these things where it's dark, and that's where you look for light so you can try to see the reflection and refraction of things, so to help you identify those barriers a little easier. But again, the self-reflection, shining a light on you to know where you're creating those things, will first start that journey to being able to understand the invisible barriers you may be dealing with. So, all right. I want to tell y'all about a real invisible barrier that I don't know. Y'all know about the Wallace line? Y'all know about the Wallace line? The Christopher Wallace line is like, what up, Biggie? It was all. No, it's not. It's Russell Wallace. So there is a actual invisible barrier. It's a ecological invisible barrier. It is in Indonesia. It's called the Wallace line. It is this this guy was looking. I'm gonna butcher the story, but this guy was looking years and years ago, and he was mapping through all of the islands, the Indonesian islands, and he made it to this one island, and he was going to this next island, and he's cataloging all the types of animals and all the type of birds and insects and stuff. And from one island to the next island, there was a 100% difference in the type of animals that were on these two different islands, though the space between them was just this little narrow bit of water, this strait that the Wallace line is on. If you went from one side to the other side, it is like one side had tigers and elephants and like you know, things like that. When you go to the other side, you have marsupials and like reptiles, and that in itself, the water acts as an invisible line for the ecosystem in the Indonesian islands. I didn't know that physical invisible barriers were not just glass. Okay, I didn't think they were just things you happen to run into from the Windex commercials, but finding that they actually do exist in the world,
that's interesting.
I thought it was cool. I just wanted to share that with you guys.
Once again, some more.
There we go. So the Wallace line,
later.
It's not the Christopher Wallace line. It's the Russell Wallace line. I know in my mind, I keep wanting to say it was all a dream, but it's terrible. It's terrible.
Interesting though.
Yes. But with that, we thank you guys for this wonderful conversation on invisible barriers. There will be more to come on this subject going into season 5, most definitely. But I would not want to leave without doing Cam, the pretty lies and ugly truth. Like in my mind, whenever that come on, man, I just get so pumped. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Pretty Lies and the Ugly Truth. This is the segment where we peel back some of the things we have beautified. We wipe the makeup off of the maiden. We find that there's some blemishes. Today's PLTU is the other thing that I like to call it. We have a video, and I want to watch this video because I want to ask you guys first before we kick the video off. Do you guys believe everything comes with a cost?
Yes.
I don't know.
You don't know? What you think, Michael? What you think?
Absolutely.
Cam, run the video, please.
This into your mind because it's the reality of life. The price of peace is struggle. The price of strength is pain. The price of freedom is discipline. The price of success is failure. Nothing worth having comes free. Every setback, every challenge, every moment of doubt, they're all part of the cost. You see, the truth is, everything you're going through is shaping you for what you asked for. So don't quit, don't back down, keep pushing, because on the other side of sacrifice is everything you've been fighting for.
I wanted to play that and get you guys' feedback on that. Do you agree with the prices and the cost of sacrifice leading to the things that you want to do. Do you guys believe in that? CT, I'm coming to you first.
Absolutely. I had a what would grandma do moment in the old school, for those of you back in the day. In the word cost, and what hit my head was creative obstacles should teach you something, the cost. And so when I think about what a real cost is, nothing is ever free because somebody had to pay for something before it even got to you. So whether or not the level of cost to you was really great, somebody before you had to do something or go through something that cost them something. So in my mind, that everything that you experience and you go through, you have to count what that cost is to you, count what the cost is from those who had to put in so you couldn't have to pay for as much. And like those people who say that something is free, ain't nothing in life free. Nothing in life is free. Somebody had to pay the price for something. So
Yeah, no, I agree with that. Michael, I'll come to you. Perspective on the video. Want to add anything to what CT said?
Love the video and agree. It brings some context to the cost, if you will. I think about things when I think about the word cost, I think about something you get that's more transactional. So I'm going to tweak the word slightly as I thought about it, is more of an investment because these experiences
it's good, Mike.
that you go through is an investment in the future you, whether it's helping yourself or helping someone else. I mentioned my son Noah going through NICU. We're in a position now, my wife and I, to counsel a family, friends of ours who have twin girls who are about 4 weeks into that process now. And so while at the moment it felt like a cost that drains emotion and energy and my intelligence, like I was a zombie for 12 weeks. Not zombie, I was very singularly focused on my son.
That's right.
And giving him everything that I had. And
Yeah.
so it cost me in that season, but I think about it as the investment of his life, the investment of a perspective now that is manifesting in an opportunity to help another couple go through a similar situation and bring some context to that. They're not alone, and it's okay to step away to go to a baseball game, to like leave the hospital, things that you feel guilty about. And so to me, it's that investment of a life experience that's a setup for how can I then be aware of that experience and how I might leverage it in my life for my own personal growth, or to bring perspective to someone else who might be going through a similar circumstance.
That boy good.
Yeah.
That boy
Good.
good. That was
Yeah.
good. That was
That was-
saucy.
That
That
was
was
good.
saucy.
Yeah, we're gonna clip that up.
That was saucy.
Johnny, anything? Any thoughts or anything you'd like to add from the video?
You really got me going after CT and Michael after those.
Look, I gotta go after all of y'all half the time. It's not fair for me ever. That's why I'm the comedy relief. Okay, jeez, I done give away my secret.
Season 5, you go first on everything. Season 5.
No, you always come with something good. No, those were great perspectives, and that video was such a beautiful reminder that in order to know what joy feels like, you have to know what pain feels like. Right. And just the opposites that were referenced in that video. I tried my best. CT, I know you feeling it, right? Yeah.
That's what he did it too. He's like,
I know.
I can help it.
Listen to him, Rob Bass.
I can help it. I can help it.
I try to teach my kids that, but so I think they'll learn it later on in life. But I was recently listening to a podcast and somebody referenced that same thing, that life is not going to be just beautiful sunshine and roses, right? It doesn't show up like that. But in order to understand what the beauty is, sometimes you have to go through the pain.
Come on.
So when you're in the midst of something and you're frustrated, or maybe you're even let's just say it's not even pain. Let's just say you're really busy. It's been graduation time for us. So it's just really busy, all the to-dos, but it makes us enjoy the quiet time so much better. Right.
Yeah.
And so I think that video was such a beautiful reminder. So thanks for sharing that with us, E.
Yeah, no, and yeah, and you guys said it perfectly. It's really about, to Michael's point. I'm gonna call you Michael. I'm gonna keep doing both. You my guy. So.
Mike D.
Nicole's husband.
Yeah.
With the E. Stop it with the double E. You guys hit all of the proverbial nails, so I'm just going to go ahead and finish with that, saying that you're right. Like, it is the investment. It is the blood, sweat, and tears, the things you go through that allows for you to literally turn around and give to people the things that they may need because you went through it, right? Like, and why did you go through it? You went through it because you may have needed to be the person that needed to tell somebody else about what you went through so that they can be better off for going through it. And then they can transfer that to the next person, because that is it. That is really what refinement is. We have all walked and traversed our own experiences, and then through those trials and tribulations and the joys and successes, we're able to give to those people that we love and cherish and help to foster their own opportunities, but not letting them see all the time the cost that we pay. And that could be a disservice. At the same time, acknowledging that there is a cost to pay. We have to do that. We have to do it with I do that with my kids. My kids know everything has some cost in some way. The decision in itself to pay for something is a cost to your brain sometimes, right? So, like, just knowing that there's a cost, like, it's not as, oh yeah, I just go do it. Yeah, like, no, there's always something happening in the background that is building, destroying, or bubbling something up based on what you're actually investing in, so or what you're not investing in. So I think you just got to hold so the pretty lie is that everything is free, or it should be. The ugly truth is it's going to cost what you willing to put in on it.
Come on.
It may cost you a little, it may cost you a lot, but it's gonna cost you.
What you got on my 40, homie? That's what it's gonna cost you. I'm just gonna tuck my chain here because Mike D on here. We're gonna tuck my chain in.
Take your bike too.
That's right. Not the beach cruiser. Oh man, this is amazing. Thank you guys so much for this wonderful conversation today. We are going to go into our final thoughts. Johnny, I'm gonna come to you first for final thoughts, because I know you took a lot of notes, and I figured you probably had some things you would want to say. CT, I'm gonna come to you next. Mike, then I'll let you round out and I'll finish up.
Okay, thanks for coming to me first. This was good. This was really good. So it's a couple of things that had nothing to do with really invisible barriers. It happened during our rapid fire questions. But Michael said something about, it was the this or that CT asked, joining a table over making a table in so many words. Yo, I think that is so powerful, because we are so, especially in today's like society, we are I don't know, we're just pushed to create your own table and be the leader, be the manager, be all the things. And sometimes it's understanding like what your strengths are. Doesn't mean that you're not a leader, doesn't mean that you're not great, doesn't mean that you're not excellent, but it's more like playing your position in so many ways. Like that's what I thought of when that came to my mind. I had a conversation with a girlfriend recently, and she says, look, I know I'm not an entrepreneur. That is not my ministry, and I will not even try to go into that. And I thought that's so cool. And then like a couple of years ago, I was talking to our girlfriend of the pod, Portia, and she says that some people are executors. Some people are like thought leaders. Some people are just creative, whatever that is. And I think that's important to just like call out and remind people of. So that's one final thought. And I have one more. He said, comfort over growth, consciously comfort, unconsciously growth. That just stuck with me. And I thought we had to I just wanted to bring that up one more time. I took notes of that, and I'm going to keep that with me. So Michael, thank you so much for joining us. And that was a great conversation. I know we keep saying this, that we want to have people back, but for real, you really got to come back, because that was good. Or either we'll just have like a chat on the side without the rest of them.
I'm here for all of it.
Yeah.
CTM coming to you for your final thoughts.
Thank you, Johnny. That was solid. Mike, you already know, bro. You already know. Started last week, but I figure I'm gonna pick it up again. Coach Chris has something to say here, and Coach Chris wants to say to this room there are 3 eyes around how you might break your invisible barriers, and you've got to recognize you can't fix what you haven't faced. Number 1, you've got to inspect your story. Slow down long enough to ask, what am I telling myself, and what are the barriers or assumptions I've created around the old messages that exist in my life? But you should ask yourself, where did I learn that? And the question is, every invisible barrier starts with a story, and most of those stories are overdue for an edit. Number 2, identify the real block. Not every slow down is your fault. Get curious. This is personal limitations or cultural systemic ones that may exist. You've got to define what those things are and identify what's the real block. And then ask yourself, do you trust yourself? What's the one thing that might be holding you back that you can't see? Because you can't solve a problem if you're aimed at the wrong thing. Call the thing the thing. And then last, interrupt the pattern. Once you see the barrier, don't ignore it. Change your response. And that's how you begin to chip away at what's been silently shaping what your experience is. So just pick one thing this week to act differently around, because the patterns, if they don't break by accident, they break when you do something different on purpose. Patterns don't break by accident. They break when you do something different on purpose. So inspect it this week and make sure that you do the 3 eyes. Inspect the story, identify the real block, and interrupt the pattern.
Love it. I guess the eyes have it. I can help it. I can help it.
Could you?
Yeah, you know how I am. Like words are my. I love it. He did an alliteration. His eyes had it, so I couldn't help it. Michael, final thoughts. Sorry, what would you like to leave our wonderful guests with? Our wonderful viewers. I'm sorry.
First off, I love Coach Chris. He makes it practical. He makes it real, and that's what coaches should do, right? So I love that. Look, I think couple things hit me. Is that there's not isolation when you hit these ceilings, these barriers. There's no power in one except the one, and that's why your network. That's why your friends. That's why things like mentors and peers become critically important. Folks that are going to, support you and provide guidance and perspective, that have context on the content so that they can properly comment and bring some value to your thought process.
Let's go.
Is critically important. So, build that village for you that is going to be there to provide that hand up. To provide that motivation, that nudge, that smile, that presence, because many times it's not the words we say, it's just that you're there, that you're listening, and that person in front of you is the most important person to you in the world. In that moment, you're not checking phone, looking around the room, like that focus, and you need the innermost people in your life. I thought about barriers, and when I initially thought about that, a lot of the things that hit me, and as I began to just pull in some research to think about it differently and some different perspective, was that, barriers don't mean that you cannot overcome that thing. There are many ways to overcome it. You can go through it like the Hulk, or my favorite, the Kool-Aid guy, busted down the walls and coming through. Oh yeah. Like, love it. You can go around it like an F1 race car, right? You can spin around it. You can go over it like Superman, right? Because he leaps tall buildings in a single bound.
Yeah.
Perhaps you go under it, like the classic Dig Dug. There are many ways around it. Like, the beauty is that you get to choose your own adventure, right? If you remember those books, like there's paths here. You get to choose your adventure around that particular barrier. But when you look at, and I'll challenge anyone to look at the definition of, or more so, the definition along with synonyms for barriers, and they'll often include things like barricade and boundary, blockade, fence, hurdle, impediment, obstacle, railing, roadblock, wall. In full transparency and vulnerability in my life, I have personally gone through, around, over, under, or through every one of those barriers, including a wall. So it can be done, and it's done all the time. In each of those moments, and this is the differentiator for me, in each of those moments when I went through, around, over, or under that obstacle, that barrier, I was singularly and very wholly committed to making it to the other side of that barrier.
Mhm.
I've used the word intentional or intention, maybe ad nauseum. Maybe it's my Sesame Street word of the day, right? But in each of those moments, I was committed and intentional about getting to the other side of that thing and that barrier. And that's the inner fortitude and commitment that you need to personally undertake, and then figure out the people and the resources you need to come alongside you to get over it, because you are not alone in this.
That's right.
Nor can one person have the power except the one.
That's good.
Love it.
So good. All right, Eve, let's see what you got. I'm kidding.
Don't let what just happened be a barrier to the brilliance and excellence that you're about to pull out. LLC.
Hey, Mike, thank you. Thank you very much for laying that out, breaking down what barriers are and how to get around them. You took all of the words and used all of the ways to get around them. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you ever need to know what a barrier is, just rewind a few minutes, listen to what he just described, and then he gives you every single way you can possibly get around it. He gave you everything. Everything. So and it's very important that you recognize what a barrier is and that there are ways to get around it. Now, the funny thing that I'll leave you with for my final thought is that to one person, it may be a barrier. To another person, it is just a stepping stone.
Oh, yeah.
So be aware of the fact that there may be some things that you see as barriers that other people have already figured out and use as stepping stones to get places, or they have already designed the path, the tunnel through that barrier. So seek those resources, those people who are very resourceful in getting around those barriers or never experienced them because they were too big for the barriers to ever stop them to begin with. So yes. So again, thank you guys so much for a wonderful conversation. Now that you know where those invisible barriers are in your life, you can Kool-Aid man and break through those things. I had to do that one time. Kool-Aid. I had to do it one time.
Very much called for.
And also, we need you to break the barriers on not having subscribed, and go ahead and hit those notification bells, hit the likes, subscribe, and share, care, because we want you there. Now, this technically is the last episode that we'll be filming for the season until the special that we have coming up. So a heartfelt thank you to all of the listeners and all of the people who support the podcast. We do this to make sure that we're impactful in the world that we're in, because we do believe that we influence those that we are exposed to. And we want to put out positive things in the world. We want more than just the little corners that we sit in to be sunshine filled and full of joy. We want joy in all of your lives. And I want that soul shine that my man Michael was talking about earlier, because it's better than sunshine. So I want some of that too. I'm going to get me some of that, put it in a bottle, and I'm going to sell it myself.
Is that like Soul Glow? Just asking.
No, it's not, because you ain't staying in my couch, man. You're not staying in my sofa. I'm not playing with you. Okay. We will kick the whole family out. and again, like CT, you already have a Soul Glow.
I do
glow already, sir. You are always. Don't forget, we had the whole shiny thing. It was beautiful. All right. So again, we will after this episode, you will get the specials, and then we'll take a break. You will see us again later on this year. It's always a great time to be with you guys. Johnny and CT, thank you guys for another wonderful season. Michael, I can't, a dream come true, man. This is just, thank you for joining us and bringing your voice to the conversation. Shout out to Cam in the background, making sure everything happens, goes down. Thank you to all of the guests that have been on this season. Thank you to all of the wonderful conversations and all of the love that has been there, man. Listen, we wouldn't be who we are if it wasn't for you guys. So pretty much wrapping season 4. So you can just chill until the special episode.
There you go.
Peace.
So-
Oh, yeah.